Okay, so I'm just gonna give you kind of the play-by-play storyline here of what happened in my experience, kind of like as I go, or as it went, rather. All right, so, you know, woke up that morning. This was just a few days ago. I'm still recovering at this moment. But anyway, so I woke up that morning, wasn't feeling well at all, having some gastro issues, stomach issues. I'm gonna try and spare you the details, but you can probably figure it out. So we had some stomach medicine that we'd used before. So I used that, and as soon as I took it, that didn't stay down. So at that point, I knew, I probably wanted to try to see somebody to get some help, right? Wasn't getting any better. So then I fortunately was able to call a friend. So fortunate to have a friend here, actually another expat, who's a prior nurse. Her and her husband actually worked in the medical field. So thank God I was able to call them, kind of tell her what was going on with me. She came over, they helped, like kind of looked at me and, decided, yeah, probably need to go somewhere. Okay, so we do have medical coverage here. We have the FASA, the SURA option, and so we have to go to a specific clinic or even like emergency care hospital for this situation. So yeah, if you don't know, in Colombia, you have to go to the facility that your healthcare provider is serving. So you might probably want to check that out. If you're going to go with healthcare, go ahead and have your facilities mapped out, know where they are in case of emergency. You can get there quickly, right? All right, so we already were aware of that. Unfortunately, because my husband was sick before, we had to take him. So anyway, this was my turn. So we went to this hospital, finally got in. How it works is there's usually a security guard at the front door, and the main question they want to, or the main question they ask is, what kind of insurance do you have? And if you say the wrong one, you're not getting in, right? They're going to turn you away. You're going to have to find a different facility, or the facility for you, according to your insurance. So we already knew. We told them what it was. And then possibly just like what's going on, like why are you coming in kind of thing. I don't think that's necessarily mandatory. It's just something we do. Like we're like, we have Sora and this is what's going on. Let me in the door, in other words. So once you finally get in the door, you have to get a ticket. You get a little, I think they call it a fiche, but it's basically, a number that you're gonna have to listen out for. They'll call you by your number when you're going back to get care. So that's what I had to do. They're also being pretty strict about who they let in, whereas like I think this all stemmed from COVID and it's just carried on into the current times, but they won't let you, for example, if you have someone with you and another adult, they won't be able to accompany you unless you're like literally about to fall over. Or if you have a minor with you, of course they can come in with you, but they try to limit it. But even with that, this place is packed, and it's usually all the times that I've seen it or I go by there often, it's usually really busy and the waiting room's normally packed. Anyway, so I got in, got my ticket, sat down, and you just have to listen out for your number. So I was listening out for my number. It's kind of hard to hear because they have multiple announcements happening and over the intercom, plus they have the nurses or the workers coming out and yelling, names of people and stuff like that. So you have to listen out well for your number. They call me back. Finally went to the first room, which was just with someone who's like intake, I guess you would call it, to get your information and see what's wrong with you, take your, your vitals, like your oxygen level and your pulse. So did that, told her what was going on, and then she's like, okay, go to this clinic tomorrow at 7 a.m. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I guess whatever, at that point, they have to make a decision if you are, urgent or whether you're dealing with something that's an emergency. And I guess in my case, they were like, or the lady specifically was like, nope, you're fine, or nope, you don't need, emergency care. Go to this clinic in the morning. Of course, I'm disappointed. I wasted my time. I already feel pretty bad, and we came all the way out here just to wait in this waiting room for a long time, and to finally go there to see her, and she says, you won't be getting seen. You need to go somewhere else tomorrow. So yeah, okay. She writes down the clinic address and everything, and I'm like, okay, well, do I need to pay anything? She's like, no. So she's like, you can just leave. Okay. So I just left and prepared myself, went home, prepared myself. Okay, looked up the place, got it all situated, and planned out to get there the next morning. Next morning comes, get to the clinic at 7 a.m. It's the same scenario. Talk to the guard, get in, go to the kiosk, get a number, sit down and wait. Get to the front desk. This desk is a little different. They have, this is more of like a clinic and not a hospital, right? So you go in, they tell you what services you're going to be getting. You pay your copay at this point as well. But I didn't get that far. She looked at my name, confirmed it was me, and then said, oh, you need to go to this clinic. This is the wrong one. So here's another issue with, how things work, is that even down to the clinic, not even hospital, but down to the clinic, you also need to go according to your, I'm assuming they do it by, I would think they did it by area, like of location. I'm not sure, but I just know that when I went there, she told me I needed to go to another one. So I was assigned to a different clinic, and I could not be seen at that clinic. So fortunately, though, I could still go that same day. So that's what we did. We left, went to the other part of town, which is actually not in Bucaramanga, it's in Florida Blanca. So we had to go there, and same scenario, wait in line. This one doesn't have a kiosk, but I did have to wait in a line for, it's just like a priority, they call it a priority appointment. So I guess it's like, when you don't have a scheduled appointment, but you're trying to get in on an urgent kind of basis. So that's what I was able to do, and wait in that line. And I was finally seen, paid my copay, went up to see the doctor. And so the doctor, asked me what's going on, symptoms. I told her the whole story, what happened. And then she does, checks my, looks in my throat, looks in my ears, pulse, oxygen level, presses on my stomach a bit, and then she's like, okay, here's the medicine, here's the prescription. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, so do you know maybe what's possibly, the cause, or like maybe what's happened? And she's like, oh, goes into explaining the medicine she's giving me and for what. And so, long story short, I mean, this is kind of like in the U.S., in my opinion, in ways. It's just like, here are your symptoms, here's some medicine to patch it up, hopefully you feel better, adios. So that's kind of how. Long story short, there wasn't a bunch of investigation. I just wanted to explain that and go as far as to say that you really should look into getting a specialist, or if you can afford it, paying for a private health care. And then if you have like a serious issue, an ongoing issue, pay for the specialist doctor to actually do more investigation, to run the tests, to make a patient file specifically for you and say, okay, this is Philly, she's got XYZ going on, I'm going to investigate it, we've done XYZ so far, this is how things are looking for this patient, that kind of thing, that a specialist doctor would do versus just your basic care here. Or even a step up in Masura, that's all I've seen so far. Yeah, and so getting up the meds, so going to the pharmacy. Okay, so when I went to pick up my medicine, one of the things I was given was this liquid. It was like in a little glass container, and it was an injectable. So I was supposed to be injecting this, which I thought was crazy because I'd never done that before personally. So I go to the the pharmacy to pick that up, but they don't give me a needle, or it doesn't come with instructions or like what I need to do, what type of needle to buy. It's literally just the glass with the liquid medicine inside. That is it. So, okay, so I get, I talk to my friend, right, my nurse friend, and she looks at it and she's like, oh, well, you need this kind of needle plus this other kind of needle. And I was like, wow. There's a special way you have to open it and get the medicine out, and because they put it in a glass container, it has to have a special type of needle to filter it. But I was like, okay, all right, well, we'll just ask the pharmacy. Ask the pharmacy. The first one's like, no, we don't sell that. We don't. And I was like, okay, well, do you know probably or maybe who would or where I can go? And she's like, no, I don't know. I was like, okay. Went to the next one, and they actually had a needle, which is awesome. And then I try to ask, like, how do I do this? Like, how do I actually get the medicine out of the glass? How does this work? And he's just like, oh, it's an injectable. You just inject it. And I guess it kind of was lost in translation. I don't know, but he kept explaining to me what the type of medicine was, more so than how to actually go about using the needle. So anyhow, when my friend was able to get back to me, she let me know that I also needed a filter needle, which is another part of the needle. So that would have, that puts me on another search for another item. Mind you, I'm not feeling too well. So, I mean, I just think about people who maybe are on their own traveling, who don't feel so well, and, on top of that, now you have to go on a scavenger hunt. So that was that. So I ended up finding a tablet version of the medicine and just going that route with it instead of using the injectable and getting it on my own, and just paying out of pocket, which is, not the end of the world. I'm glad at least it was available to me to easily get in that other form. But as far as convenience goes, and thank God I wasn't in a worse shape, and it wasn't super severe illness or anything. I kind of give you an overall idea of how it worked for me in my situation, and kind of maybe prepare yourself if you're in a similar situation to what you might have to deal with, or to be put yourself in a better situation by making sure you know the clinics that you need to go to, know the hospital that you need to go to, prepare your mind to be flexible with maybe the type of medication you're going to get, maybe some, any kind of way to prepare yourself, hopefully, by hearing my story, my situation, and just giving you another insight on how things work here. And I remember I am in Bucaramanga. I do have some friends who are in Medellin, and they do rave about their healthcare there. They rave about the doctors and specialists there. Again, they're paying more for special doctors for their particular situation, so that also changes things. Since I'm using more of a baseline healthcare system, and they are paying more. So again, I would think there would be more quality of doctors in a more concentrated area, or more area that's more popular for tourists and what have you. It should not be that way. I think that everyone should definitely have that access to the same quality of healthcare, right, as anyone else, no matter where they are. But unfortunately, this is the facts. This is just how it is. But yeah, so that's that. I'm not gonna keep going on any further. I hope that in some kind of way was insightful, and if you have any questions about any other aspect, just let me know in the comments. And if you had a different experience, better experience, worse experience, I'm curious to know as well. And hopefully it's not too much background noise. I'm sitting on my balcony here. It's been actually a great day. It's super sunny today. The sun's going down at this point, but it's been raining for the last few days, so I was happy to have a good sunny day. But anyways, thanks for holding on and carrying through this video to this point. I hope you guys take care, and you're healthy and well and strong where you are. See you in the next one.